Hi everyone and welcome to the Chibi Cafe. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that bell button to get notifications on future videos, and everything in this video will be listed at the end. Let's get started! Here I'm drawing out a centimeter seam allowance all along the fabric square. And I want to do this for both pieces. Then we want to fold the ends together. And if you don't have any tacking glue, you can use PVA, that's also Elmer's glue, and just spread it along and then spread it out. Do it on the other side. And then take an iron and just iron over it. And that means you don't have to use any pins, and it's really handy. And you want to do the same thing for the other side and the other bit of fabric. Whatever we do with the first bit of fabric, we're going to do with the other bit of fabric. Exactly the same. After you've done that, you want to sew along that seam allowance all the way down to the bottom. And we want to do that to the other side. So we're creating a little pocket. Fold it that way, and then try and flatten everything down. Use your glue again, and iron it. This way just saves a lot of time and energy, and it's so much easier than pinning everything. Now I'm flattening this out. And after that, we'll want to peel apart the seams. This just makes sure that your fabric lays flat, and then just iron it. And then we'll want to turn it the right side out. Once we have that done, we want to stitch with a whip stitch our little hole together. You could do an invisible stitch, but you won't see this, so just make your life a lot easier and just do a whip stitch. Stick it through the middle, pull it tight, and then cut that string. Like I said, do exactly the same thing to the other bit. Now we're folding the ends to the middle, and I'm ironing it so that they stay. On both sides you want to iron. And we're going to do that to all of the points. So we're creating a little box. Repeat with the other end, and then you just want to line the two squares up. For this, you will want to pin it just to stop from movement when you're stitching, and you want to stitch together along that ironed edge. We did the same thing on this side as the opposite side. And now we want to fold those over and stitch the tips together, and try and make that stitch as invisible as possible. So here you can see I'm stitching on the underside of the tips on both sides. And you want to do the exact same thing to the other side. Now as you can see, I've left a space underneath so you can stick your finger through, and you can see I'm sticking my hand through the middle. Now what you want to do is pop the sides up so that you create that diamond Here I've got a little felt, and I'm using that as some padding because I didn't have any battening. And then you want to take your fabric that you're going to use in the window and you want to stitch that down. You don't need to sew all of it, just the points so that you're holding it still and in place. As you can see, that bit of fabric is smaller than the square, and that allows you to flip that little flap over and create the window sill, as it were. Try and make your stitches as small as possible. Because I'm using a fabric that's both green and white, I decided to use a white thread, although you could play around with the colors. Now here you want to fold it over so that the points are folded nice and tight, and stitch that. And then you're just going to flip it over and do the exact same thing to the other side. Make sure that bit of fabric is just a bit smaller than the big square. What you didn't see was me stitching that seam, and then I've stuffed it with cotton and I've stitched that other little bit, so I've left a hole. Why you want to stuff it with cotton now is so that you can flip these ends over. And just make sure that you get the edges all pushed out. Here I'm sewing the tip down again. And you want to try and make that as invisible as possible. So like the other bit, you want to sew the underneath. And I've sewn all 4 little tips down. I've taken the cotton out because I found it was just easier to sew everything down without the cotton in. And now you want to re-stuff it. Once you finish stuffing it, you want to do an invisible whip stitch. Now here I've sewn the edges like the other window, but you can leave it unsewn. If you're making an ornament, leave a hole so that you can stick the ribbon in and then do an invisible stitch. If you're using it as a pin cushion, then just stitch it all together. And there you go. The process is quite easy and it's fun. Thanks for watching. Here's a quick list of everything that was used. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And why don't you check out some of the other videos on my channel? I post regularly. And if you could spread the word about the Chibi Cafe and help support us, that would be great. Have fun crafting!